The Fargo Little Leaguers keep on winning. An update from Indianapolis. Plus, we're closing in on kickoff. 3 weeks away from week 1 of the FCS season. Hot Mike on a Monday begins now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to it was a long weekend edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV. Good morning in Sioux Falls. KNBN, good morning in Western South Dakota. And Inforum.com. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. First weekend in August is in the books. And we have turned our attention now to the first full week of the month, which means it all gets going this week. Everybody in the pool, as I like to say. We have the Vikes have been going. The Bison and Fighting Hawks have been going. The Dragons and the Cobbers get going this week. The high school teams get going at the end of the week. So it is officially here for us that football season is off and rolling. Couldn't be more excited about that. So for the high school coaches out there, I hope you all enjoyed your final few days of freedom before it all begins. For some, we know at midnight on Thursday, we're going to make our annual check-in in Beach later this week because they have their first practice. They're the first ones to go. Latest start because obviously they're an hour behind us, but they have the first practice at midnight. I believe there's a handful of others. I've reached out to see if there's anybody else that'll be doing that, but it all gets going coming up later this week. Couldn't be more excited about that. Busy weekend. A lot of good stuff going on. Mentioned off the top that the Fargo Little Leaguers are 2-0 and sitting in the best spot you could be at the Midwest Regional in Indianapolis. We left and they were playing their first game. They won that convincingly on Friday. Rallied and beat a team from Wisconsin on Saturday. And now they get 3 days off. They didn't play yesterday. They don't play today. They don't play again tomorrow. They don't play again till Wednesday. And as the schedule would have it, because ESPN needs programming all week long, because we're still 2 weeks out from them being dominated by football, the games are on ESPN. So Fargo will play a team from Sioux Falls coming up on Wednesday, and that game will be on ESPN on Wednesday morning. While we're on the air, that game will be getting going. So we're going to check in out in Indy coming up later on in our show today. Also, for those that have been following girls hoops in the state, this past weekend saw something we haven't seen yet. And that's hard to say because we've seen quite a bit of new stuff in the recruiting world. But this weekend we saw 2 8th graders get offered. 8th graders are going to be 9th graders here in about 3 weeks. 1 legacy player get offered. It's an interesting time. And another that was up at Bison football practice that likely is going to earn an offer here in the next couple days, who is the daughter of a former Bison, or former Gopher standout, that we'll give you the lowdown on that coming up later on in the show. We'll also chat as we are closing in now. I mentioned today we are 26 days out from the Bison opener. We're 19 days out from week 0. So here we go. We got games coming up in the not-too-distant future. Sam Herder is going to join us back here on a Monday. Look ahead to some of the spotlight games we've got for coming up later on in September. So looking forward to that conversation later on in the show. But we will start with the Twins, with this caveat that the national talk around baseball this weekend centered around the baseball team in Minneapolis and what they did. If there was not a show that, if you are a baseball fan, that didn't chat about what happened on deadline day on Thursday afternoon. We spent a majority of the show Friday, and if you missed it Friday, that's fine. Don't ever do it again. But a majority of our broadcast on Friday centered around the 10 trades the Twins made and the complete gutting of the roster. And then when we signed off, not knowing full well who was going to be with the team when they played their opener with Cleveland. And more stuff has come out, which I want to get to after we show the highlights from the game from yesterday about the Twins' line of thinking of what went down before the deadline and after it. But I will say, it just was really odd watching this weekend. Like, Duran came in Friday night, threw 4 pitches, and clinched the game for Philadelphia. Huge ovation. They did his whole entrance. That was odd. Griffin Jacks made his debut yesterday in Tampa. Willie Castro played this weekend for the Cubs. And just you're seeing these guys contribute for other teams that are right in the race, that are either going to make the playoffs, either going to win the division, or maybe even win the pennant. And it just, you just shake your head, because then the Twins trot out what they did for the 3 games in Cleveland. And some of these guys we've either haven't seen in a while, don't know who they are, haven't had a chance to come up. And as I pointed out on the show Friday, I'm just really interested to see what the interest level in this baseball team is going to be when they come back home. That was the one buffer they had with this, was they were playing 3 games in Cleveland. They got 3 more in Detroit before they come back for a real quick homestand on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I don't know who's going to be there for that. Yesterday, they were trying to avoid being swept by the Guardians. And, and again, just this was their lineup yesterday. Austin Martin's back up, Jeffers, Wallner, Royce Lewis, Cody Clemens is playing first. Brooks Lee is now going to get the majority of the reps at short. Larnick was in left. They brought in the guy they got from Toronto in the Varland deal. That one is, again, still stunner. Alan Roden played. Vasquez was in center. Eddie Julian, who didn't run out a ball on Saturday night, or Friday night, excuse me. And then Ryan Fitzgerald got some run. Who? I couldn't tell you. That's who was in the game yesterday for the Twins. They also, they started a guy who hasn't been starting all year. Jose Urena, former Astro, former Blue Jay, started yesterday. So that was the lineup that they brought to Cleveland and former Jacobs Field. I always call it Jacobs Field, Progressive Field, yesterday for the finale against the Guardians. And they got off to a good start yesterday. They actually scored some runs. Matt Wallner delivered early. Royce Lewis then trades spots with him with this double down the left field line. Made it a 2-0 Twins lead. They added to it when Trevor Larnick came up later in the first with this base hit to right. That would score. Matt Wallner and Lewis would come around. It's a 4-0 Twins lead to start, to give Urena some insurance. It's a 4-2 game in the third. Christian Vasquez with the cannon. Get his guy out at third. Keep the Guardians off the base pass for Jose Urena, who threw 4 innings yesterday in 69 pitches. It's a 4-2 score in the 8th. That's a beautiful bunt by Cody Clemens. Little suicide squeeze as Deshaun Kersey Jr. scores. That makes it a 5-2 Minnesota lead. They would see the Guardians inch back into it, make it a 5-4 game. But they would get the final out here on a fly ball. Erasmo Ramirez pitched yesterday. Couldn't tell you. I mean, we're going to have guys we've never seen. Twins win it 5-4. Now 3-7 in their last 10 games. So, again, all we're going to spend our time on for the Twins for the last 2 months of this season is, frankly, who's playing, who's getting starts out there, and the commitment to going out there and doing something. Because after that, I mean, there's 7 games under 500. There's only 3 teams worse than them in the American League. at this point, not worth it, but I'll be interested to see how they wrap this up. Now, yesterday, story came out from Bob Nightingale from USA Today, and initially he reported on the Correa deal, which more has been flushed out of that since Friday when we were last here, that in the initial report, that the Astros initially wanted to involve Christian Walker in the deal, who's Houston's starting first baseman. And Minnesota rebuffed that because they didn't want to put any more payroll on the roster. Now, later in the day, Nightingale updated his reporting and said that actually the Twins went to the Astros and tried to get Walker involved in the deal, which would have been better considering it was just a full-on salary dump that ended up going down for what the Twins ended up doing. Again, now, this is from his story yesterday. There's a couple of quotes here from a current general manager that told USA Today Sports, didn't want to use his name. The deadline was going to be a complete dud, he said, but what changed the entire deadline were the Twins selling. They said they were going to just trade players on expiring contracts, which is what we expected, right? They had 6 guys. We knew the 6 that they were going to go. He goes on, they were going to revisit the other stuff in the winter. Then they started selling off everyone. I mean, no one expected them to do this. They had everyone going everywhere. The trade deadline wouldn't have been nearly this active without the Twins doing what they did. The general manager spoke to USA Today on the condition of anonymity in order to freely analyze the trade deadline. A couple other mind-numbing quotes in here on this deal, including the one GM wondered, who was in trade talks with the Twins, why keep Joe Ryan when you traded everyone else? Which is a valid point. I mean, if you're going to tear it down, then Joe Ryan would have got you the farm. He would have. That part, not understanding it. Let me read this on Louis Varland because this is really good. The Twins fire sale was so ruthless, the 27-year-old reliever Louis Varland, the hometown kid who absolutely loved being a Twin, making only $8,000 more than the minimum and wasn't even eligible for arbitration for 2 more years, was dumped and sent to the Blue Jays with first baseman Ty France. Varland was devastated, leaving Twins players seething and rival GMs dumbfounded as to why the Twins would actually trade a valuable reliever with 5 years of control. My God, he was born and raised in St. Paul with his wife and a family coming to virtually every home game. This is the way you treat him? That's when GM said that. By and large, across the board, this is what Falvey said, and I believe Eric got an email because he's a season ticket holder that came down after we were off the air that was just a complete slap in the face to any ticket holder, how that read. Falvey said, by large across the board were baseball trades we felt we got real talent back, and we were not geared toward the financial flexibility component to it. Come on. I mean, can we honestly say that with a straight face? They call up 8 players from the minor leagues just to field a team on Friday. Maybe they'll be a contender once again one day. This is what Nightingale ended his column with. But for now, it's 34 years and counting since they've been to the World Series, and the only thing that can save them is for the Pohlad family to sell the team as quickly as possible. Yet even when the Twins are finally sold, the scars and memories from this dark day of July 31st, 2025 will last for generations. While the Twins certainly stole the trade show, man, I mean, and there's no other better way to put it. Just it's scarring of what went down, and I mean, this is going to hurt for a while, folks. I mean, you're trying to move on. They're playing games every day, and you're going to watch like, who's this guy? Like, again, you're going to see guys out there competing for teams that are in the postseason hunt, are going to be in the playoffs. Like, oh, that guy was a Twin. Yep, that was a Twin. Yep, remember him. It's going to be nonstop here over the last 2 months of the season. Last thing before we set up the show, and the Twins were not on my radar yesterday. What was late in the afternoon was the USA Track Championships going on in Tracktown and Eugene. A friend of the program, Peyton Otterdahl, was competing yesterday in the USA Track Championships in the shot put. Again, we went through this last summer when Otterdahl made it to the Olympics that the shot put team might be the hardest one to make for Team USA for track. Just the lineup of guys there is ridiculous. In fact, the guy who's won the silver medal at the Olympics the last 2 years isn't even going to the World Championships. Joe Kovacs didn't make the team. Otterdahl sat in fourth heading into his final throw. This is what he did yesterday, and this is so similar to what he did last year in Oregon, where he needed a big throw to cinch a spot on the U.S. team. And what does he go and do? He cranks out his best throw, 73 feet, 4 inches, to finish in second place and ensure a spot on the World Championship team. That was a monster. So he'll go to Tokyo coming up next month. Ironic, he's going back there, of course. That was the site of his first Olympic trip when nobody was in the stands in 2021. But he's just starting to get into the prime of his career. 29 years old, 2 Olympic trips. Remember, finished 4th just off the podium at the Olympics last year. It's his highest career finish in this event, which that's, again, saying something, again, considering the competition level that he has. He was interviewed afterwards. This is what he had to say about finishing second and going to the Worlds.
Coming to U.S. Champs, ultimate goal is always to check that box to make the team. We're going to Tokyo. We're super excited to go back. First time there since the Olympics. Can't wait to be back.
Yeah, it was a really great series for you today, with lots of 21 highs, and obviously you get the big one towards the end. Like, what was clicking in the ring for you today?
It felt close. It felt like the setup was all good, and just missing it a little bit at the finish, whether that's good hand contact or just staying on the shot long enough. And it felt like in round 6 I finally caught one.
Yeah, it's a big throw. It's looking more like the form we saw you in early on last season. Whereas this year, I think your season's best coming in was like 22.07 or something like that. Was that an intentional, you wanted to build this season slower, knowing that it was a lot longer, so you're peaking more towards right now in the meets that really matter?
Yeah, the goal is to peak for USA's because it always takes big throws to make the team. So we did want to stay on it longer. The meets earlier this season were definitely not indicative of how training was going. Training's been going great. Better than it ever has. Just I would get to meets and be missing things. So glad to finally be connecting on throws a little bit better. And we're in championship season now, so hopefully we can ride this wave to Tokyo.
There's about 8,000 people there being interviewed. For those who haven't been to track, there's a mass. Basically, there's a divider, and the athletes come, and you can go up there and interview. But it's basically a cattle call of interviews. Point being, he's going back. Congratulations to the Bison former national champion, Rosemount, Minnesota native, who got his picture on milk jugs, I remember, when he first went to the Olympics back in 2021, and now heading to the World Championships here in 25. This is the grind for track, swim, those events that we only pay attention to basically every 4 years. For some, this is the wait now, because there's nothing on board until we're 3 full years out still from the Olympic Games in LA. So by the time that comes around, he's 32. That's probably it. And he's got a chance to do it. But fun to see that yesterday. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Appreciate their sponsorship of our show each and every day. Salute our best of the weekend coming up here in just a couple minutes. At 9:35, Sam Herder will join us. Give us the lowdown as we close in on week 0 of the FCS season. So dumb to say that. There are teams, though, starting to schedule games for that opening week of 2026. We'll chat about that and a bunch more with Sam coming up at 9:35. Jeff Kolpack will be with us at 10 o'clock. Bison have 1 week of fall camp in the books. They'll have their 5th day of practice today. They'll take a day off tomorrow. We'll get some thoughts from Kolpack from the first few days of practice and some position battles we're keeping our eyes on. That's coming up at 10. And at 10:35, we'll check in. And this is our same exact guest lineup we had last week, except Hans was with us in studio last week. He'll join us from Indy, where the Fargo Little Leaguers are sitting in a great spot. They are 2-0 and a win away from a chance to go to Williamsport. If they win their game Wednesday, which we're going to show you here in a second from how they did on the weekend, they will play Friday for a chance to go to Williamsport. That's coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Monday morning. We're just getting started. We're glad you're joining us. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend. Hot Mic off and rolling on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, it's Monday. We do our best of the weekend in this time slot each and every week. We'll start. We mentioned them earlier. Congratulations to the Little Leaguers out of Fargo. They played Friday and Saturday and won both games. They beat the team out of Centennial Lakes, Minnesota, handled them 10-4 on Friday. Came back Saturday. They were trailing to Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and came back and won that game. One of the big hitters on their team, James Shee, had a monster at bat. He's had a couple of big games. He was 3 for 3 in the game on Friday in the win over Minnesota. He came up with a big hit in the game on Saturday to lead them to victory. They have allowed a total of 5 runs in 2 games. This is our guy, James, here, who delivered. This was the tying run to even it up at 2. They eventually scored the go-ahead run. They've had some dynamite pitching through the first 2 games. So they're in the catbird seat now. Now, again, remind everybody that the championship game, if they're fortunate enough to get there, is not double elimination on Friday afternoon. That's one and done. That was the final out on Saturday for them to get the win. So they're going to face the team from Sioux Falls, as you see there, coming up on Wednesday. The Sioux Falls team, and Hans told us this, and I believe Alex Sumner told me this as well from Fargo Youth Baseball, is loaded. They have not allowed a run yet in the tournament, has the team from Sioux Falls. So it seems fitting that it's Fargo and Sioux Falls that'll battle on Wednesday. That's at 10 a.m. And that game will be live on ESPN on Wednesday. The winner of that will go to the championship game and only have to win once. If you lose Wednesday, then you've got to go and play an extra game Thursday and win that to get to Friday. Now, 2 years ago, that's exactly what happened to the Fargo team. They had to play the extra game, won that, and then won the championship, and we know they went to Williamsport. But they're raking. We're going to check in with them coming up later on in about an hour from Indy. Also on Saturday, I was out and about doing some stuff, so I wasn't around my phone a ton. I saw the Little Leaguers win. I knew we had the Lynx game Saturday against Vegas. And we were driving back from Lakes Country was the family, and I was driving, and I asked Courtney, like, hey, can you check what the Lynx did today? And she had to look at her phone twice. She's like, oh, my gosh. Like, what? The Lynx won by 53 points Saturday against Las Vegas, who's one of the best teams. Kayla McBride was unbelievable. She took 8 3-pointers. She made 8 3-pointers. They didn't just squeak by. They held Vegas to 9 points in a quarter. It's the second largest win in WNBA history. She didn't even need to make a basket in the second half. They all came in the first half. I mean, just draining them. And they're not short ones either. 111-58, the final. The only downside of what happened Saturday was Nafisa Collier went down with a leg/ankle injury and left the game in the third quarter. There's been no update yet to her status, but the Lynx, as we know, are rolling. Collier right now is the presumed MVP, and they just beat a team by 1,000. And they made a big trade yesterday. They traded for Dejanai Carrington from Dallas, who was all WNBA first-team defensive player, who was part of the Connecticut team that the Lynx lost to in the playoffs a couple years ago. So she's coming. She was voted the WNBA's most improved player a season ago. So Lynx, here you go. There's the, if you're so turned off with the Twins, and I wouldn't blame you, Here's a team that is actively trying to win, adding players, and just kicking butt. I would turn your attention there because they are rolling right now, are the Minnesota Lynx. They play Seattle coming up here in their next game tomorrow night on the road. Lastly, in our best of the weekend, I mentioned off the top how active a weekend it was for girls hoopsters in North Dakota on the offer front. Shout out to Shanley's Megan Dietz, who Friday announced that she had been offered to play basketball at North Dakota State. Dietz, who's about to enter her senior year for the Deacons, part of a stacked Shanley team that ended a state tournament drought with the great Jaya Taylor. They've got Riley Sievert, who's got a bunch of offers as well. Taylor, who just is a 7th grader. Sievert just wrapped up her freshman year. Dietz is going to be a senior this year. Averaged 10-6 this past season for Shanley. She's the younger sister of Emily Dietz, who is the Bison record holder for all-time games played in women's basketball history. NDSU just has a couple of scholarships available for 2026. They already have one commit. This would be their second if Dietz ends up committing. She's got a bunch of D2 offers, all from the NSIC. The Dragons have offered her. Mary has offered her. Bemidji has offered. But this is her first D1, so we'll see. To add on top of that, the Bison offered 2 incoming Century 9th graders over the weekend as well, including Kinley Thornton, who's about to begin her freshman year of high school. Kinley is the niece of all-time great, one of my all-time favorite athletes I ever covered in high school and college, Pride of Bismarck, Esley Thornton, who won 8 championships. It is between high school and college football. One of the all-time great athletes in the history of North Dakota. That's his niece that the Bison have offered. Another offer went out as well, and this one I saw actually happen, interest. I saw this happen in person when I was at Bison practice on Friday. Addison Campion was on a visit, who lives in Jordan, Minnesota right now. Addison is the daughter of one Pete Campion. You know that name. She also is about to be a freshman in high school, and she was up here this weekend. That's a name to keep her eyes on as well. She's 6'1" and just about to be a freshman in high school. Again, you might be just going crazy, like, seriously? No, that's how early the offers come. So, something to keep your eye on there, folks. Bison are trying like crazy to keep some of these local players at home, and we'll keep you posted on that. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Sam Herder on the other side. We are just 19 days away from football. We'll chat about a couple of big topics and the preseason poll coming out today. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Overcast Monday, rocking and rolling here. Hans Anderson from the Fargo Little Leaguers, their head coach, will join us in about an hour to check in. They still got a couple days off before they play again on Wednesday. That's coming up in about an hour from now. But each and every Monday at 9:35, we're joined by Sam Herder from Hero Sports BetMGM as we're closing in on the kickoff for the 2025 college football season. We got the ballot last week, Sam, for our FCS preseason poll, which Craig Haley will put out later today. I don't know if there'll be any surprises. Well, I guess ask you, are there going to be any surprises at the top of this thing?
I don't know. Well, I guess you never know, with how these votes go and, how some voters kind of treat these preseason ballots. It's interesting going, like I've done a top 25 preview for every team that I, have voted for, except for a couple that I'll get done here in the next coming week or so. But when you dive into these rosters, there's more coming back than maybe what you originally anticipate. But there's still some rosters that are really hard to, really get a good gauge of. I mean, Tarleton State, they're probably a preseason top 10 team. They don't even have a 2025 roster online yet. So you really got to do some digging to see who exactly is coming back. But I mean, NDSU will be at the top, I would imagine, whether they're unanimous number one for everyone, we'll see. But I would imagine Montana State, South Dakota State will be somewhere in that top 5. And then who that 5th team is, we'll see. Maybe it's UIW, I would guess, but Illinois State, UC Davis could potentially be in that mix as well. But I think it'll usually probably be the usual suspects in that top 5.
But, I mean, it's only August 4th. Tarleton doesn't play for like another 19 days. They got plenty of time, right?
Yeah. I ran into this issue last year, too, of not being able to get too much information on what their roster looks like.
And they're a week 0 team. Like, they play, like, I'm not kidding. Like, they play Portland State on week 0, and it would be nice to know, who's lacing them up for them, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they had a standout defensive lineman 2 years ago who transferred to the FBS last year, and there's rumors that he's back on this year's team, but I can't verify that, so I'm not going to, say his name. So those type of information would be nice to have as we're, a couple of weeks out from the season.
What I'm always interested on that is for the poll talking about how much is banked off of last year for how some vote. And Craig instructs us on this, and I think you and I both subscribe to that. We're trying to project ahead of who's going to have the best year. It's just, as I did it, Sam, and I think we've talked about this, after number 10, it was really hard. Really, because I just don't know who, frankly, could be any good this season.
Yeah, and some of the teams, you look at like Jackson State, Northern Arizona, Lehigh, Tennessee Tech. These are teams that, as I was previewing them, it's like, they have 8 starters coming back on defense and 9 starters coming back on offense. And so how do you weigh that versus an Idaho team who is traditionally better than those teams, but Idaho doesn't have, as much coming back? Maybe it's, 4 defensive starters and then, a few offensive linemen, but other than that, a couple of running backs as well coming back for Idaho, but, a lot more pieces to replace for Idaho. And so that is the difficult part, kind of putting together, a top 25. The difficulty for me was 20 through 25, not necessarily because I was having trouble finding teams to get into that slot. It was just, what separates teams 21 through 25 compared to 26 through 30. Like they're all, kind of on equal playing field there as far as what I see on paper. So preseason polls or ballots are, they can be difficult. I think we all understand that probably what we vote for now and how it looks like by season's end is going to look completely different. But and it's interesting too that some conferences are doing away with.
I was going to ask you about that. What do you think of that?
I from a conference perspective, maybe you can understand it just because conferences are pretty straightforward. Like how you finish record wise, that's where you finish. Like nationally, I get the argument of like let's not do an FCS top 25 until week 3 or week 4. But at the same time, I still think fans want to know like where's my team sit? Like are we a top 15 team? Like how does the media view us? I also think it adds excitement for like South Dakota State versus Sacramento State. Absolutely. Like that could be a top 10 matchup. And so seeing those numbers next to their team, on the TV screen, I think adds excitement. And plus too, I always have the mindset of, early on in the season, if the number 10 team loses to an unranked team, well, that unranked team, is going to shoot up right away. I'm not going to really hold on to my preseason ballot and be like, well, I can't jump them up too much. And so for me, I bump teams way up anyways, even if they have, an early season upset. So I just think early season, you can really adjust your ballot just to get, kind of a good gauge of where teams are at.
So the Big 12 made headlines because they're going to do away with it and they didn't do one. And that's in full reflect of the college football playoff, where in the FCS, if you're good, you're going to get ranked. You're going to get an at-large bid. Like I don't foresee, or I wouldn't like to see them do away with that. We can disagree with it, which I often do with who's ranked, but I would prefer it stay around as opposed to not being there. I guess that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and eventually how good of a team you are is going to be reflected in where you're ranked.
Correct.
In week 9, 10, 11. I mean, you could be preseason number 8, and just because you're preseason number 8, like if you're 3-3, you're probably going to be slowly, or pretty quickly moving down, the ballots there. And even, like UND beat Montana last year, and UND soared up in the rankings to be a top 10 team because that early season upset. Was UND a top 10 team at the time? It was like, well, we got to put them there they have to prove that they're a top 10 team. And if they lose or if they keep on winning, they'll rise and fall. And so that's why I'm still in favor, like you, of just keep the preseason ballot as is, still rank teams, after week 1, week 2, and then, things will kind of just fall into place as we get more data points to rank these teams.
So Bruce Feldman has his annual freaks list that came out today. And as I was scrolling through it here, the highest ranked FCS guy is one that you may know, we know, is Bryce Lance. And he's at number 34. Sam, I was up at Bison Fall Camp on Friday there were a couple scouts there. The scouts never will talk. But talking with people who do talk to the scouts, they told me that the floor right now for Bryce Lance is a second-round pick. And that's before he's even played it down this year. He's got to stay healthy and have the similar kind of production, which asking for 17 touchdowns again, I think is a bit much. But the fact that Feldman, this isn't a projection of draft, but this is just athlete-wise of what we've known. That's pretty high bar already for a guy that we think could have a pretty special season in 2025.
Yeah, and you have to scroll a ways to see the next FCS guy. I think it's like Jalen Jones from William & Mary, who's a really good cornerback. He's around like 100, something like that. So, and we've known for a while now that Bryce has been the top 2026 NFL draft prospect from the FCS for quite some time. And there'll be some other guys that, kind of rise up and maybe they're a potential, day 2 guy. But it seems like Bryce Lance is a, you never know, but it seems right now he's a lock to be at least a top 100, draft pick, and most likely round 2. Maybe he can slip into, the first round. I think a lot of that has to do with his testing and, how fluid is he going to be and, stuff like that as they test those sort of measurements at the NFL Combine, which again, I'm going to assume he will be at the NFL Combine. But I mean, even if he has, like, hypothetically, let's just say he has 40 catches for 800 yards and 8 touchdowns this year. Like, he didn't have the production of last year. That's not going to impact his draft stock because your numbers are important, but at the same time, what they really look at is a little bit of production, but also just your overall skill sets and your raw abilities. And so even if he has a slight step down this year in production, whether that's because of quarterback play or because, other wide receivers like we've talked about have stepped up and have made more plays, he's still going to be viewed as a high-end draft pick, even if his numbers are a little bit down.
I think for him, it's athletically wise, maybe just showing a little bit, not necessarily production, maybe getting off the ball a little bit, a little more explosion there. Obviously, staying healthy is a big deal. After that, the rest will take care of itself. I honestly believe that and we talked about it. I know Mike McFeely wrote about it, and you were quoted with that about the best FCS group of wide receivers out there. And I still have to shake my head that NDSU's being brought up in that conversation. Never would have thought that, ever.
Yeah, and I think as far as film wise, Bryce, like, they probably want to see a little bit more like short to intermediate routes as well, because we know he can win against any cornerback in the FCS, and a lot of cornerbacks in the FBS as far as just go routes and some of the deeper routes. But yeah, I think he's set for a fantastic season, and he highlights the group for NDSU, but there are multiple other guys that can make a splash play here or there, or if Bryce is, double covered or they're bracketing him, you're going to leave other guys who can win their one-on-one matchups as well. And that's Mike and I were talking about that via text about who is the best wide receiver group in the FCS. And I think NDSU has as good of an argument as anyone. And what I was telling him, and I know he put it in his column too, is how do you gauge like Monmouth and UIW, like those receivers as a whole are going to put up better numbers. Is that because of competition? Maybe. Is that because of style of play and offensive scheme? Yes. Is it because they're more talented than NDSU's wide receivers? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to compare talent level compared to just, the offensive style you're playing, because UIW is probably going to have 2 1,000-yard receivers. NDSU probably isn't, but that doesn't necessarily mean UIW has more talented wide receivers, or maybe they do. That's the tough comparison in the FCS.
All right, before we go, I'm looking at, you posted the most likely FCS over FBS upsets here. You've got number 1 is Monmouth at Charlotte. I'm not going to say I'm a great Charlotte mind, but they haven't been really good over the last handful of years. Monmouth has got a team that probably be pretty good in the CAA. One that did strike me, you got SIU and Purdue. Now, Purdue's bad. They are bad. SIU is a team I think that's going to be better than maybe the experts think in the Missouri Valley this season.
Yeah, typically with these, you look at like who are either good or above average FCS teams, and then who are bad G5, FBS teams. You don't usually look at the Power Four games unless it is, NDSU, Colorado. I think made my top 5 last year. But I mean, you kind of look at Southern Illinois and Purdue, and like you said, Purdue has really struggled. They're coming off of a 1-11 season. I kind of lean into ESPN's Power Football Index and where they rank teams. And Purdue was number 92, out of 136 FBS teams. And I'm with you as well. I think Southern Illinois is going to be better. Yeah. Getting DJ Williams back, I think is going to be huge at quarterback. Also, Colin Bohannon back at linebacker. He's a really good player. He was very limited last year, only played in a few games. So, and SIU has a track record as well. I mean, they beat Northwestern a few years ago. A couple of years ago, they beat Northern Illinois. You go back to 2019, they beat UMass. So that's 3 FBS wins in the last, 5-6 years. And so they do have that track record. Again, going to a Big Ten opponent, they did it a few years ago again at Northwestern, but it's a taller task just because there is more, even when you compare a G5 versus or G6, whatever, compared to the Power Four, there's even more depth and talent at the Power Four level. And so you just kind of got to hang on and give yourself a chance in the second half.
Those are always the fun ones to start clicking off, and we're just 19 days away from it. Great to see you, my man. We'll do this again next week, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Sam Herder joins us each and every Monday at 9:30 to get us rocking and rolling. Mention 19 days out from week 0, just looking on that opening slate of games. You got the Word and Nichols that start everything at noon on ESPN2. Idaho State, UNLV. Tarleton State, Portland State on ESPN2. Davis and Mercer is the kickoff game at 6 on ESPN. 6:30 is North Carolina Central and Southern on ABC. Now, I featured this. These are at least the games for week 4, because we've been doing it. We already did week 0, 1, 2, and 3. We took a little bit off, but now we're getting close. So September the 27th, that's the final week of the opening month. I think it's technically week 5. That weekend, the Bison host USD, which we'll have that game for you on WDAY at 1 o'clock. Abilene Christian Incarnate Word that's going to be a top 15 matchup. The Word is going to be good. I think Abilene's not going anywhere. I know they lost their dude at quarterback, but they're going to be all right. Idaho, Montana is later that night. That's a 9:15 game on ESPN2. That's going to be fantastic. Little late night football in the Big Sky. And then William and Marion Villanova at 2:30, which is their last go-around, is CEA teams before they move on. And I'd imagine one or both are likely going to be ranked in the top 25. So that last weekend of September, which I think almost everybody else in the Valley is off because the Bison have their final game as a non-conference game. Those are some doozies there for to wrap up September. And we'll keep doing these as we get closer to kickoff, which for NDSU is 26 days out from today. All right, we'll break. We got a couple emails to get to and then start our second hour here on a dreary Monday morning. We're back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Sam Herder, as always, for giving us a few minutes there. Good stuff. We got a couple emails in going back to our our previous topic. We were talking on the Twins to start the show this morning. There's a couple of good ones that, let's see. Dom, you forget what baseball media analysts have been crying about for years. Baseball is a business, nothing else. This is why they'll go on strike for the 2027 season. And nobody but the Yankees, Cubs, and Dodgers fans will miss it. The Mets fans will miss it, too. Let's get them in there since they had the highest payroll a season ago. Dom, I find myself asking the question, what exactly is the point of watching Twins games highlights? It seems to me the biggest difference between a Twins game today and that of a spring training game is, at least in March, there is the existence of hope and optimism. That, again, is our email of the day, which this emailer frequently does, so I'm sure that's why he comes in all the time. But that's exactly right. It's exactly right. Because normally, in March, you've got number 96 getting out there in the 7th inning or number 74 and getting a couple of at-bats or maybe a couple innings. That's exactly what we're going to see over the next 2 months. Just looking at the box score yesterday, 1. I'm just counting here. Austin Martin is 1. Roden is 2. Fitzgerald is 3. Urania's 4. Tonkin will give him because he just came back up 5 in his 9th time with the Twins. And then Ramirez. Those are 6 guys that played just yesterday that they weren't there. And Julian, 7 that weren't there come Thursday. Just, it's not happened before. And again, people might think we're making too big a deal of this. You're not. It's never been done before that 10 guys off the current roster gone. I mean, it's one thing you trade a couple guys and a handful of prospects like everybody else did, like the Mets did, like the Padres did. No, this was the opposite. We're going to give you guys off the current team, and if we get anything back, that'd be great. And if not, that's okay too. Like what went down with the Correa deal. They got a guy that we're never going to see. Never. That was just a complete salary dump. And so that's what you have to look forward to, folks. The Vikings can't start soon enough. They begin on Saturday for preseason game number 1, and there may be more attention on them than ever because the people focused on the Twins aren't going to be for the next 2 months of the baseball season. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Jeff Kolpack will join us. Lots to get to. The Bison have had 4 days of fall camp. We'll look back at what we've seen and look ahead to this coming week. Position battles that are up for grabs and a bunch more. When we return for Hour 2 on a Monday morning, we're back after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. Forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4. I should have yelled 2.
All right, folks, here he is. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Hope you had a good weekend, bud.
Had a very good weekend.
Awesome.
Yep. I biked the Heart of Lakes Trail, and there's a new section open from through Maplewood State Park. God, Minnesota, you guys know how to build a trail.
Pretty good.
It's just
pretty good stuff.
It's just gorgeous.
Well, I want to start with some hard-hitting news before we then transition. Over the weekend, prior to the horrendous events that happened Saturday night, former Bison football player William Fratelloni was arrested in the Twin Cities. And I say former because he's no longer on the team, per head coach Tim Polasek, for theft charges. This is a guy that was involved in the Jaden Pickett incident that went down last fall. And I know you already got a message on it. I did as well about why are we referencing this guy as a member of the team, even though he didn't play last year and wasn't at fall camp for the first few practices. And the simple answer is, as of Saturday night when I saw this, and you did as well, he was still listed on the team. He was on the roster.
Yeah, took a couple questions, and I think borderline criticism on Twitter, which is fine.
It comes with the territory.
But, yeah, the simple answer is when you're on the roster, you're on the roster. I mean,
right.
It's not our place to think about whether he's going to make it or not. No, he wasn't one of the 123 players invited to fall camp. But you can bring in more players once school starts. And that's been
the Bison have done that.
The stipulation forever as far as since I started covering the team in 95. So, yeah, it's not our place to determine whether he's going to make the team or not, or they're going to bring him back. And Tim was very good about it up front. He goes, I'm owning up to it. He took swift action, which he should have. I mean, now there's questions whether some people say he should have been on the team after the Jaden Pickett thing.
Correct.
I mean, I saw the video of that. I saw the police video of that, and the release. I don't know if NDSU people did, but there was a lot of arrogance there.
He was definitely, I don't know, instigating might be too strong a word, but
it was
part
borderline.
of it.
It was borderline, and I'm just good. It's done. I mean, Tim said any possibility of bringing him back to the team is now gone.
All done.
And he wasn't going to play anyway. He wasn't.
No. he came last year, transferred from Northern Iowa, Twin Cities kid, that transferred in and was a safety that didn't play last year and wasn't really to be in the mix to get on the field again. But I heard it, you did as well, and I wanted to start our conversation with, well, why is he? Well, because he was on the roster as of even 10:15 Saturday night.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, that's the first thing I checked. I go,
is he still on the? Yeah, right.
Well,
Exactly.
so
Correct. That's why
nothing we can do.
Nope.
You know, and I've told many of football players over the years that I don't care what you do off the field. I really could care less.
Yeah.
I don't care. But once you start getting involved in the court of public record, then it's my business, and it's our business.
Good stuff. Okay. Two other things here to move on. As we were just talking about with Sam Herder before you came on, we just got the email from our friend Craig Haley that the FCS preseason poll is out. He does this on purpose because he knows you're on at 10 o'clock. The Bison got 54 of the 56 first-place votes. Montana State got one, and South Dakota got the other. It goes Bison, Bobcats, Jacks, Coyotes, and then the Word at 1 through 5. Illinois State get a ton of love. They come in at 6.
Well, somebody has a lot of confidence in the South Dakota offensive line and linebacker crew because obviously it's a testament to Aiden Bauman coming back at quarterback.
Correct.
Charles Pierre at running back.
Yep.
And so, but I think NDSU has the legitimate claim to that spot. You have the best player in the FCS coming back.
That's actually more than I thought.
Bryce
First
Lyons.
place votes. I thought that'd be more
I thought
spread
Montana
out.
State would get more.
I thought it'd be more spread out than that.
I think Montana State's going to be really good again. Viggs has got that program humming, and they have to find a quarterback.
I will say this, though. Their first two games are a challenge. They open with Oregon and then have the Jackrabbits in Bozeman. So, I mean, they're out of the realm of possibility. They could start 0-2.
That SDSU Montana State game is going to be huge as far as figuring out, okay, how good are these teams?
Correct.
Because we don't know a lot about South Dakota State either. They have so many new faces.
Nope. Here's the thing that got me, and we've talked about this now over the last handful of years, and I mentioned it with Sam. After I got through, I think, Team 6, I raised my hand. So after that, on the official poll, it goes Montana, UC Davis, Rhode Island, and Tarleton. Mercer, Idaho, Nova, Lehigh, Sac State. After that, rounds out the top 15.
You know, since we started paying attention to the top landscape of the FCS in 2010 when they made the playoffs, that's really, I think, and maybe before that, but once you got a feel.
Certainly was for us, I think.
Once you got a feel for the caliber of these teams come playoff time, has there ever been a year where there's been more than 5 maybe that you'd say could win a national title?
Nope.
I don't think so either.
I'd say
sometimes,
4. Sometimes it might be 3. Right, we might be down to 3 then in this era of what we're doing, of the amount of spending, in terms of facilities, of getting, we might be even smaller than that.
Montana State is opening up their new facility this month, $34 million, a nice indoor, but it's got a track around it.
So does UND's. It's not the end of the world.
South Dakota State has it too.
South Dakota State has one.
But it's the arms race.
Yep.
It's part of what you need to stay near the top of the top 5 of the FCS. I saw some of our Montana cohorts did some video of it. Looks very nice.
Looks really good.
And
really
it's not
nice.
NDSU's caliber. With the NDSU has that $15 million we be giving part of it, which really separates from the others. But it's nice.
I think
it's not a bubble
because there's some. I think on the football side of it for NDSU, would like to have all their operations there and not in the dome, even though they just spent all that money to upgrade at the Fargo Dome. But I mean, they can do everything there, from video, meeting rooms. We saw it. We did the locker room inside the indoor is nicer than the Fargo Dome.
It is.
It just flat out is. It is a better locker room.
God, what if the citizens of Fargo would have approved? That sales tax to renovate the aging dome that we see in the bowels of the things halfway falling apart in areas, and they would really have been that FBS certainly worthy.
All right, so we're in the day 5 of camp later today. They'll take a day off after today. I wanted to focus on a couple spots to you. Running back is one we talked about last week. I want to spend a little more time with you this morning because Barika Penu is the guy, and I'm really interested to see what that means this year. And Polisek told us after day 1 of fall camp that means probably 18 to 20 carries. And we haven't seen that for a Bison running back, I bet you, since Crockett 10 years ago, or 11 years ago now, 2014, to get that many carries a game. And I'm really interested to see how he holds up as being number one guy.
I'll believe it when I see it if he's going to get 20 carries a game. I just don't see that happening. Because I think the non-conference schedule is probably friendly enough where you're going to see other guys. I think they want to find out who these other guys are. Money Mitchell.
I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, and I want to get off Barica too quick here, but Miles Mitchell looks pretty explosive through 4 practices.
He doesn't look like a freshman.
No. And granted, him being here in January helped. I'm intrigued on Barica being able to break away from guys, get to the second level, and make guys miss. That was, again, something. Barica did it against Missouri State. It happened later. It did it against Abilene. We didn't see it until game 10.
As good as
12.
Marty Brown was, he wasn't really that guy either. He wasn't the breakaway
Correct.
threat.
That's something out of these backs. Can they do that this year? Can Barica do? I think certainly he has the physical ability. Visiting with him on Wednesday, I think we did it was Friday. That mentality wise, he's ready. Like, this has been his time. Sam O'Jury is now pumping that into him and I don't think you can discount having a former Bison great coach that position. That's something that, and that's not to discount what Joe Pashonder did as the running backs coach before then, but I think having a guy that did it, and Barica watched Sam do it. We asked him about that on Friday of him as a youngster watching O'Jury in 2012, 2013 make those kind of plays. That's something I don't think you can discount.
I just think Sam's a natural coach. You watch him out there, and Joe obviously has done his good stuff over the years too. But just watching Sam and working with the running backs, he's got it. He just looks like he has it. He looks like he fits as an assistant. Yeah. I think he knows when to push the buttons, when not to. So that's a great hire. And Tim was he had him in mind for a long time.
Heck, for a while.
Yep.
I think also Kolpack, DJ Scott, who we're going to get a chance to visit with this week, transfer from Kennesaw State, big dude as well who can move. There is a real battle, I think, for number 2, and I think it's between those guys. I think it's Scott, and I think it's Mitchell for the backup running back spot right now.
Well, you probably know more than me because you've done more research on that part. But there's 8 guys now. There's 8 running backs. Yep. And that's more than usual. I mean, we have seen fall camp where there's like 3, 4, 5.
Correct. Yep. We've been we had 4 guys, and that's
there's 4,
it.
Yeah.
And then it's not the case.
True freshman, maybe if you have to go.
Well, I mean, they brought Peter Haugo into running back last year because that was practice 2, and we saw Haugo make the switch from linebacker to running back simply because I think Polasek was that dissatisfied with what he had at the running back spot. That was not going to happen again. And obviously, they added Cortez LeGrant from Minnesota. Barry Penu, Barica's younger brother, they brought in. And Owen Johnson's in the mix as well. And I don't think we can discount where he fits in. It's not going to be first down, second down. But I think maybe
there's always been that role, that
swing guy,
that TK Marshall, that Derek Lang look.
I think
there's
so.
always been a role for that.
I think
in this West Coast offense.
I think there's a possibility you're going to see OJ out there more. Granted, he hasn't played. We talked to him during spring ball. He hasn't played a down of football in 18 months. That's a long time coming, and this was not an easy rehab that he had.
No, but obviously I think there's a certain hunger there going through what he did just to get to this point. I hate using, cliches, throw it all on the line, but he's obviously got that. It's his last year. Is it his last year?
Yeah,
he got a hardship?
He's a senior, so he played enough games in 23. So
are we confident seniors now are their last year?
I'm not confident.
Are we confident
on eligibility? No.
Yeah.
Even guys that run through the helmet on senior day, I'm like, he's back. Wait a minute. I want to stay on offense before we break because we focused totally on the left tackle spot. I'm interested on the other tackle spot. Josh Maggins going to be the guy at right tackle, who's huge. He's 6'5", 305. He was recruited out of Shakopee as a defensive lineman who spent the first couple years of his career as a defensive lineman here, made the switch last year to the offensive line. He was the backup for Mason Miller at right tackle. Now it's his job. And frankly, Jeff, crazy to say, he's the most experienced guy because he's a junior.
Yeah, well, he's been around. But NDSU has had success before switching positions. I look at Costner Ching, went from tight end to defensive tackle. Yep. That worked out mighty dandy. Yep. I look at Esley Thornton going from quarterback to linebacker. Worked out mighty dandy. It's a coach's job.
Jimmy Football.
There's
another one.
It's a coach's job to put the guys in the right positions. And it sounds easy, but there's a lot of haggling in the coaching room when the assistants get together on, okay, where does this guy best fit? And maybe they found where he best fits.
I think so. And I've asked this because now if the starting quarterback is left-handed, that means the right tackle is the blindside guy.
That's
If that means now is the right tackle spot in this offense for this year more important than left tackle because Cole Payton is left-handed. I've gotten differing answers on that. Our guy Hedberg just threw it out. It doesn't matter. But isn't there something to that? If all we hear about the left tackle is the blind side, that now if the quarterback is left-handed, wouldn't the right tackle be more important?
I don't know. When Kenny Stabler was the quarterback, was the Oakland Raiders right tackle the most important?
I would think so.
Can we go back that far?
But in terms of like running the ball, they're going to run it behind, I think, Bo Johnson. They're going to find, because Bo is now over 300 pounds and he's a mountain of a man. But I'm just intrigued on that to see how Magan plays now because those are 3 new starters. And I will say, last thing before we go to break, when we were up there Friday, and that was our last open media session, we have another one today coming up this afternoon. They were still rotating guys at right guard. That's still a well-open competition there.
Find out, who's going to – and again, I just don't know if you'll find a certain solid 5 until late into September.
It might be. I think you're looking not just for 5. I think you're looking for 8.
Well,
you're looking for 6, 7, and 8 there too. Like, okay, who can we swing in to be – in that spot going forward?
I just think having Trent Fraley back at center is tremendous. Yep. That's a big deal.
All right, we'll break. We come back. We got chat about the opener because they're ready for the Bison. The Citadel Open practice. We'll check in for the Bison season opening opponent down in Charleston, South Carolina. Much more with Jeff Kolpack. We come back on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A few minutes left here with Jeff Kolpack. Hans Anderson will join us from Indianapolis coming up in a few minutes. Email comes in, boys.
Do they rent a house there? God,
they might
have
a
long time.
Especially if they keep winning, they're going to be there for a few more days. They're guaranteed to be there at least through Thursday, even if they lose on Wednesday.
I feel for those parents and their credit card bills. Oh, my goodness.
Email comes in, boys, need your thoughts on Peyton Otterdahl's overall status now in the pantheon of Division I athletes at NDSU. He gets lost in the mix. He shouldn't, but he's got to be near the top, Kolpack. He's a 2-time Olympian. He's a national champion since the D1 transition.
I need more than 5 seconds to think about that.
You've got to go into the World Championships we showed earlier today.
A lot of NFL players, too.
Yeah, but, Olympic Games is that's a different status. He's top 3 in my mind.
Sure.
Has to be.
I'll go with that.
Have to be.
If not number 1.
Right. If not number 1. And then you'd have to say, okay, well, who'd be number 1 in that? And I guess, does NFL success matter? Or does it only matter of what and we're getting in the weeds here, does it only matter of what they did at NDSU? Because if that's the case, Otterdahl was an individual national champion in 2 separate sports. That would mean end of conversation right there. And it'd be number 1, right? Yeah. I mean, you could say all you want about the football players.
National Division I outdoor champion.
Yeah, that to me would be end of it. But that's good email. Appreciate that. And again, as we mentioned, we saw it earlier in the show. He's off to compete in Tokyo. Another email came in because we mentioned this earlier. You mentioned Esley Thornton. Here's a thing: we're getting old. His niece just got offered to play basketball at NDSU. She's a freshman She's going to be a freshman in high school. So here's a reminder there of that. And Pete Campion's daughter got offered too. So again, another reminder of.
Well, Esley Thornton has some pretty good athletic genes in his family. And I did it mentioned it in my North Dakota Tough book, where I think he has family roots that goes back to the Elbowoods days in the 1940s, which is now under Lake Sakakawea, but they had a pretty good basketball run there for a while up there in western North Dakota.
Yeah, pretty good stuff there. Okay, we got our first look at the Citadel opening practice late last week. Their head coach, Maurice Drayton, who's been on the show, he's a former Citadel player and coach, rocking, by the way, a hoodie when it was 95 last week when they opened practice. That's what the Johnson Haygood Stadium is. That's what it's going to look like, folks.
Nice place.
That's where
Except
the Citadel
for that little stands
that's not
there.
great. I imagine that's where the Bison fans are probably going to be located when the game comes up 26 days from now. Their starting quarterback is not practicing right now. He's out with a undisclosed hand injury. They've got a transfer in who's running things from Air Force, who started 6 games for the Falcons last year. Quentin Hayes is his name at quarterback. This is being built up as a major deal, not just, and Drayton told me this when he was on the show, it's not just for the football program, it's for the university, for the area. I mean, they're anticipating the amount of Bison fans that are going to go, and I was asked this last week, how many do you think? I think between 5,000 and 7,000. I really believe there's going to make the trip down. I do. I think some that are going to stick and go to Nashville.
There's a lot.
The following
I've
week.
heard there's a lot of people that are doing that.
This has been built up for a bit, that they are beyond excited. I'm really interested to see what we're going to see out of this football team, knowing, I mean, level of talent is obviously going to be an issue, but, you know, we talked about this heading into the East Tennessee State game, not knowing, and they threw the kitchen sink at the Bison and nearly won the game.
Well, they will. But I don't know about you, but I'm almost looking more forward to the university. I don't think I've ever been to a military school.
I've been to West Point. West Point is something else. I mean, that is a different deal. And yes, around it, to see the cadets line up in the morning, to see them march, which they will do at the Citadel. Yeah, I'm with you. It's a different vibe than any other place that the Bison have gone to in the Division I era, at least in my recollection. That's a whole other element to it.
Can we get one of the cadets on the pregame show?
You can, if you want to go that. I'll give that.
They had a horse.
I'll give that charge. I'll give that charge to you on that.
All right. Challenge accepted.
I mean, Charleston is a huge city, beautiful city that people frequent and go to. That I'm really interested to see what the community interest is in North Dakota State football, because at that time of year, I mean, you've got Clemson, you've got the University of South Carolina, you got some pretty big deals going on. Citadel is not in the top 5 on that, you know?
It's different, and if you're just the casual football fan in Charleston, I would think I would go to that, wouldn't you?
If
you have the defending national champion coming in?
Depending on how hot it is.
Well, they're used to hot. I mean, who cares? Hot is hot.
11 a.m. kickoff, which does help on that. But yeah, I mean, if you're got nothing else and no other plans and you're somewhat interested in football, yeah, this would be. And they brought everything out in Johnson City last year. That you remember the atmosphere before the game, the day of the game. It was a big deal. The Bison are here. This is a huge opportunity for our university.
And they played like it too.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking maybe the Citadel is going to do this. Especially it's game 1. They've had all off season to prepare for it. It's not like it's game 4 or game 5. Like this is number 1 out of the chute. That I think they're gonna give everything they can in this one. I really believe that.
Not a good sign that your starting quarterback isn't playing right now.
No, that's not great, and that's something obviously they got to have to deal with.
Now, maybe this Air Force transfer's better anyway.
He was pretty talented. He started 6 games last year for the Falcons. He's a pretty mobile guy, so who knows? And the intriguing part to me, because I've had I have a couple friends in Charleston, like, oh, Bison say, I'm like, they're not worried about the Citadel till basically the game of at least the week of the game, I would think. I don't think that's something.
Well, I mean,
it's not like Colorado last year.
But you look at their offense; looked like they were running the triple again.
Yep.
And so you know, the coaching staff's been.
I'm sure they're slugging away.
They've been slugging away since last spring on that offense.
To me, though, it's not like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. like that.
There's probably not a Travis Hunter.
It is a different deal than what they had out of the chute for game 1 last year. But to me. It's a new part of the country that the Bison haven't gone to. And for NDSU, there's plenty of question marks too. I mean, it's not like it's all in the Citadel. The Bison
bringing back 20 starters.
Have some things that they're going to have to figure out, and that's why, to me, and you mentioned this earlier before we go here, the first 3 games, if the Bison don't win by 15-20, we've got some things I think to talk about because I think they're overwhelming favorites against Citadel, Tennessee State, and SEMO. But it's how they get there and who's playing, that's what I'm really interested about for the first 3 games of the year.
And I just, how far down on the depth chart are you going to go in these first 3 games? I would think if things go according to plan, they go pretty deep. We just talked about on the outset of the show, the running backs. Who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 3? Is Cole Payton going to be the guy? I mean, he sure looked like at the first practice. I've been asked, so what do you? How's Cole Payton going to be this year? I go, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen him do the whole thing, and nobody has. But, man, he carried himself like a dude that first practice. He did.
Yep.
He was winging it all over the place. He looked like he belonged. He looked like
he's gonna be
command.
okay. He's going to be okay. I believe that he will. He'll give something different than we have not seen a quarterback. I think he's going to be okay.
He has arm strength. I mean, he could wing it.
But there are legitimate positions like tight end. Who's going to be that guy? We mentioned offensive line. I think defensive tackle is a spot where, you talk about depth. They have 3 guys there that have played. After that, they've had nobody play. I mean, nobody. That's a spot. They are razor thin.
I think it's truly going to be until the Citadel game, because in practice they're always rotating guys. You can always maybe get an idea the times we are there, that who's maybe getting a little nudge, but you really don't know. Sometimes they want to throw guys in there just to see if they can do some stuff. So it doesn't necessarily indicate that they're number 2 or 3. So that's dangerous to take that from practice and go, I think this guy's number 2. You have a gut feeling, but we really won't know until August 30th.
Can't wait. It's coming up here just,
it won't be
over
long.
3 weeks. Great to see you, my man. Thanks for stopping by. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We'll break. We come back. We'll head to Indianapolis after the other side of the break and check in on the Fargo Little Leaguers. 2 wins away from Williamsport. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning show, final half hour. We might have to start getting this segment sponsored because our next guest is back on in the same time slot like last week. The Fargo Little Leaguers are 2-0 out in the Midwest Regional. We showed you earlier this morning with wins over a team from Minnesota and a team from Wisconsin. And because they're in the winner's bracket, boy, they got their feet up now. They don't play again till Wednesday. They played Saturday afternoon and now off till Wednesday, which for having a group of 11 and 12-year-olds, Hans Anderson has got plenty on his plate. Try and figure out as the head coach of the Fargo Little Leaguers who joins us this morning. First, congratulations. Second,
Thank you.
What are you doing now? You don't play till Wednesday at 10 o'clock, so what's on tap?
Yeah, it's exciting times. And, we got back to the hotel Saturday afternoon or evening, and we're like, okay, we got to figure this out. And Coach Grandy and Coach Mortensen, we're all talking. You always kick ideas around what if, and then we looked, we're like, oh, crap, we got to figure something out. And so we're looking at things, and we ended up going to that Wrigley game, the Cubs game last night, and got to see that walk-off bomb. And, boy, those kids, they loved every minute of it.
That's awesome.
It was a fun day, but a long day because you got to drive there and back and deal with Chicago and everything. But a great day for baseball and just to kind of relax a little bit. And then now we're back to the grind today and practicing and tomorrow. But we're going to have some family time and everything over the course of a couple of days and celebrate some birthdays.
It's a good problem to have. You'd rather have that than the opposite of not having to play. Just tell us about the first 2 games here to come out and play as well as you have. Are you surprised how well the boys have started?
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised how we played. I mean, I never sit there and go, oh, we're going to win every game, of course. But the way we played is about what I expected. A couple little miscues that we don't normally make. But overall, this is what they've been doing all year. Play good defense, good pitching, and then some timely hitting and situational stuff. But, yeah, it's been fun, and they've been doing exactly what they've been doing all year.
We chatted when you were with us last Monday. You had the first game out of the chute on Friday. What were the emotions like, and how do the guys respond?
Yeah, we talked to opening ceremonies and everything. Like, hey, we know there's going to be cameras. Take it all in now because we can't have the bright lights and the big eyes and everything when we show up tomorrow morning. And that first game, we put the bat on the ball. We got out 3 outs or whatever in the first 4 guys, I think it was, and then we had our rough inning, and then the kids just responded. I think they just got those quick jitters out of the way. We're like, oh, okay, this is for real. And then they just pedaled to the metal from there on out. So it was great to see.
We're going to show you the game from Saturday, Hans, where you guys fell behind again and then put it all together in 1 inning. Describe what you saw on Saturday and how it all manifested itself.
Yeah, apparently we like falling behind 2-0. Hopefully we don't do that anymore, but hopefully we keep getting those wins. But no, it was great. Like they responded, they picked each other up, and we changed and adapted throughout the game too. Like we just kept pounding the zone with strikes. Tanner threw awesome game 2, and Charlie came in and closed the door, and we made some phenomenal baseball plays. And on defense. But we just started like, okay, we got to start putting the ball in play, and we started playing small ball, and we're comfortable doing that. And we got a couple big hits, and but it was great. It was a great baseball. I mean, I was talking with the Wisconsin coaches during the game, like how fun this game was, even when we were losing, because their third baseman is the best third baseman we've seen all year. Like, he was a Hoover vacuum over there. It was unreal watching him play. But they were a great team, and they were good about everything. It was just a great baseball game.
Give us the lowdown on Tanner Holman, you mentioned him. He was amazing on Saturday. He struck out 7 guys. What kind of player he is and the potential he might have.
Yeah, the biggest competition is between him and his brother Hayden. So thank goodness they both have shown up and played really well for us. So it's good. It's a good brotherly competition. But yeah, he got it out. That was a tough first inning, and it wasn't by his doing by any means. He battled through, and then he settled in, and then it was just popping the mitt and hitting spots and mixing it up for us just enough. And he just battles, and he's even keel. He doesn't let too much get to him. And he's just like, all right, give me the ball. I'm ready to go. And he did great.
Are you getting a sense, like, after the game Saturday, are the boys having fun? Is it work? A little bit of both? What have you got their emotions so far?
Yeah, they're having a blast. They're excited. And it's hard. Everybody wants to look ahead and everything, but the kids have even caught themselves saying, no, we're focused on Wednesday. And so yesterday they got to relax and stuff. But even when we were watching the game, Kyle Tucker, second batter for the Cubs, bunted, and they're like, hey, we even do that. And we're like, well, yeah, we don't see that in the pros very often anymore. But we were all kind of surprised. And they're like, hey, we did that. And then there was a great play. And they're like, hey, we can do that. And so even that, they're kind of focused on stuff and kind of connecting the dots. But they do a good job about, enjoying the moment, but getting away from it at the same time. But as soon as the game is over, we get on the bus, and they're watching the game already. So it's fun to see. They want to see the highlights and then talk crap to each other about stuff. So it's awesome.
Have you gone back and done that? Are you watching yourself on TV? Have you seen yourself there waving guys in, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about looking at me on TV. That's bad. Grant Giggs says camera adds 10 pounds. I think it's more like 40. But we don't care about looking at me. I want the kids to be seen, not me. So hopefully ESPN stays away from me.
All right, so I want to get to that in a second. So now you got today and tomorrow. So what's you mentioned trying to figure out a schedule. So what's the next 48 hours look like?
Yeah, so right now we just got done with some hitting practice at a local facility, and then we're going to go have some lunch, and then we're going to go to a field for about an hour and a half, get some throwing in, some bullpens for some guys, and work on some situations, some reminders, refresh stuff. And then we're going to go and watch the Wisconsin-Iowa game, loser out game.
Yep.
That should be a really good game. And then we're going to have family time tonight, and we're going to go to a local place and celebrate some family birthdays. And Charlie Mortensen, our shortstop, and that guy, and he closed for us the other night. It's his birthday on Thursday, so he turns 12 on Thursday, I think it is. So he's the youngest kid on our team, so that'll be fun for them. And then tomorrow is kind of the same thing. We're just try to stay fresh and do what we can to simulate it, whatever we're going to see, and be ready for South Dakota, because that's going to be a heck of a game.
So we were visiting off air about this, and we're seeing the kids, and we see shots of the crowd, Hans, of all the parents, relatives that have come. Describe that. How many are there, and how big a commitment this is for them to uproot and go to Indianapolis for maybe, it might be a week, might be 10 days.
Right. Yeah. It's, credit to our parents and families that come and support us. And that goes for all teams. I mean, it's crazy to see how many people take their time off or are working on the road and trying to do what they can. Yeah, any given day, I mean, I think we're sitting around 40 when we're playing.
Wow.
And we got family members that have to fly back or drive back, come back. Now we have a break. So they're trying to figure things out and get other family. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to get my son here, who played up in Fargo this weekend, and Grandpa was watching them. And so, yeah, we got a lot of family members that are coming and going and trying to make things work. And but it's a lot of fun. And to see the crowds, I mean, every fan base has a good turnout. And then we had a local Indiana team that was playing probably 45 minutes away. And they changed the whole rules about spectating here this year because of it. And, I mean, that place was packed, standing room. It was nuts. So it's been awesome to watch.
We chatted about this last week when you were here. Now that you've been able to size up competition, how good is Fargo youth baseball right now?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, Yeah, I mean, you got to say we put our kids up against anybody in the country, for sure in the region, but in the country. I mean, any given year we can have a team that can make some noise and do stuff. But it just tells you how good baseball is, not just in Fargo, but all around the country too. Like how much it's changed and grown, and how much better development kids are getting. But yeah, in Fargo, we've done such a good job with Fargo youth baseball and getting kids to play and growing them and getting them better every year.
It seems fitting, Hans, it's going to be a Fargo team against a team from South Dakota. Sioux Falls is next up. Give us they haven't allowed a run yet, so I have to imagine they're pretty good. What's this Sioux Falls team present on Wednesday?
Yeah, they got a dude on the mound. He throws it pretty good and a pretty good curveball. So yeah, we got to prep for him. If we don't see him, okay, it is what it is. Yeah. But you got to prepare for the best, And their number 2 is no slouch, and I'm sure their number 3 and 4 are no slouches either. But yeah, they kind of remind me of us. I mean, they put the bat on the ball, and they'll take advantage of opportunities when they get them, and they don't make a ton of mistakes in defense, and their pitching is going to lead the way for them. But they're a solid, good team, and it'll be fun. It should be a fun game to watch, and hopefully we come out on top on Wednesday.
Have you run across them yet, or no? This will be the first time you're going to play them.
No, this will be the first time. They're kind of like what we are down in South Dakota. They split up among other teams a little bit throughout, and then they come together once in a while and play. So when we went down to South Dakota earlier, we didn't play them, and I don't even know if their full team was together. So,
I did not know this until I saw that you guys won Saturday, that the game Wednesday is not ESPN Plus. It's ESPN. I'm sure. Did the kids know that, or was that something you had to tell them? Like, hey, we're going to be on Big Boy ESPN on Wednesday morning.
Yeah, no, they knew it before I did. I think the kids know everything before I do when it comes to like players and what's the TV schedule and all that kind of. Because I just sit there, I really do. I focus on one game at a time. We're like, okay, who are we playing? I got to look at what's going on with them. So I mean, like tonight, I'll sit down and watch some South Dakota games and stuff, and after the parent fun and whatnot. But yeah, it's the kids are excited, and but we keep telling them, like, it's just the cameras aren't changing. Yeah. Nothing's changing what we're going to do. It's just that people are going to see a little bit more.
I guess to that last point that you said, how big a deal is it for North and South Dakota for youth baseball to get this kind of a exposure on Wednesday morning?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Geography works against us, even in South Dakota. I mean, the further south you go or east or west you go, the more publicity you get. And us Midwest guys, we don't get a lot of it. There's a lot of good baseball players and all sports, a lot of good athletes around here. So it's good to see that these kids are getting showcased.
Are there more requirements that come with this from the worldwide leader? Are you mic'd up for us on Wednesday? Do you know that yet?
I think Coach Grandy and I get mic'd up on Wednesday. Nobody's officially told us, but everybody unofficially has told us because they're all waiting to see what stupid things I have to say, and I'm hopefully they'll mute me more than not. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that part because I mumble a lot of stuff to myself, and it's not going to be good, I'm sure.
Hey, first off, the only thing I'll tell you for the name of the show is Hot Mic, so just treat it. The mic is always on. That's all I'm going to tell you on Wednesday. Just know that when you get out to the field on Wednesday.
That's good advice. Thank you.
I'll do my best. So, knowing the fact you're going to be there till Thursday at the earliest, has this surpassed your expectations for what this team has done so far?
Yeah, I mean, I sat there going into it, and I, everybody wants to think big, which is awesome. But I always, people, even my wife, she goes, "Okay, how good are we?" I go, "We're pretty good." She goes, "Can we win a game?" And she's like walking me through it, like, "Can we win a game?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Can we win 2 games?" I was like, "Yeah, I think we can." Now, in what order? I couldn't have told you. Like, would it 1 win, 2, know? But, and then she's like, "What about 3 wins?" I'm like, "That I don't know." I was like, every team that gets that far is going to be pretty good. Yeah. So I was like, "Yeah, I think we could get 2 wins. And then after that, we'll see what happens." But, now we're sitting in a driver's seat. So hopefully we can keep this rolling.
Last thing before I let you go, and I appreciate the time, bud, to balance this as coach and dad with your son there, how much fun has this been?
It's been a blast. I mean, I got used to it a little bit last year with both kids on the team, so that was fun. And I'm sure my other son thinks Knox is my favorite right now because we got to do some little extra stuff. He'll let me hear about it. But no, it's been great because it's a different experience too. So I'm sure I'll have to make it up to Nolan later on, and he'll want to do something special, which is just fine. They love spending my money, so we'll get used to that. But it's been awesome. And for all the parents, and a bunch of them came with to Wrigley Field last night too. Awesome. So just the overall feeling for everybody and experience. That's what we're going for. And, getting wins along the way is great.
This was awesome, bud. I know you're really busy. Thanks so much for setting aside some time. There's a ton of people back here watching. Enjoy the next couple of days, and good luck on Wednesday, okay?
Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud. Hans Anderson, head coach both at Fargo Davies and of the Fargo Little Leaguers. They are off today. Again, they will play on Wednesday is their next game in the regional. That game is at 10 a.m. on ESPN. You heard me right. 10 a.m. ESPN on Wednesday against the team from Sioux Falls. Whoever wins that game goes to the championship game. There's the bracket there. And if you make it there, all you got to do is win one. You win that, you're going to Williamsport. That's how big Wednesday's game is. Again, the South Dakota team has not allowed a run in this tournament. They beat the Iowa team 7-0, and they beat the team from Missouri 2-0. So probably pretty good. That's what the Fargo guys have in front of them. And I know people say, "Oh, you're making so much about Little League." I will say this: we haven't paid attention to the Legion guys or the Babe Ruth guys or the Cal Ripken guys. The one thing I'll say: are those tournaments on ESPN? The answer is no. That's why this gets a little different coverage, at least attention from me, because of the stage it's on. And that's the bottom line. I will tell you why we feature it on the news, why we feature it on this program. They get on ESPN. Kids from Fargo are playing on ESPN on Wednesday. Kids from Sioux Falls are on ESPN. It's pretty cool. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready for, I'd say, a mediocre, busy Monday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday morning. Tomorrow, anticipating that North Dakota State women's basketball got another commitment for 2027. You met Maya Killian last week. They're staying in Minnesota again for another 27 commit. This is a big one that just announced last night. And you'll know the last name. Certainly our Jackrabbit fans will know the last name. Morgan Mathowitz announced her commitment to North Dakota State. Guard out of Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. Her older sister, Maddie, plays for the Jacks and is outstanding. I believe she's going to be a senior for SDSU this coming year. Morgan, I believe, averaged 33 points a game this past season for Sleepy Eye. So that's another commit for 27. I believe that brings it up to 3 for NDSU for the class of 2027. So we're hopeful to have her on the show tomorrow. Also, we'll have another update from Bison Fall Camp coming up on our program tomorrow. And we're getting closer to high school football. Practice is getting going. We'll have a couple of coaches going to stop by to get ready for the 2025 season. Officially begins on Thursday, some earlier than others. For those that are doing midnight practices, that's coming up later on in the week. So looking forward to that. For those that missed it as well, our third episode of The Sit Down aired last night. You can watch the full replay back now at Inforum.com. We had Andy Armacost, UND president, on. I thought he was really, really good and really open on the challenges the school faces with the nickname still. And he went into this way more than I thought he would, specifically talking about the hockey team's reluctance to adopt the Fighting Hawk moniker. You saw in the new sweaters they debuted a couple weeks ago. That's still not on there. There's a patch on it, but he was as forthright as said. He wants them to adapt it and move forward, and believes it's still something hindering the school. And you'll see it anytime you watch a hockey game, especially nationally. The Sioux jerseys are everywhere, and that's not going anywhere. But I thought he was really forthright on that. So you can check that out. It's available at Inforum.com now. All right, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Appreciate their sponsorship. All right, Twins are playing tonight. I guess a bunch of AA and AAA guys against the Tigers at 5:30. The Little League Regionals are going on all day on ESPN, including the Midwest. And the Padres and the Diamondbacks, good one tonight 8:30 on the MLB Network. Our thanks to Sam Herder, to Jeff Kolpack, and Hans Anderson. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great Monday, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.